Hey, Daddy, tell me about the 90s. Alright, cool. So Matilda's this girl, right? She's born in a hospital surrounded by all the other baby children in pink and blue cots. Although after a few years, some of them will no longer identify as pink or blue. Daddy, what do you get when you mix pink and blue? A rainbow! So after Matilda's born, the nurse shows it to her dad and he's like, ugh, disgusting, and walks away. Kinda like me when they cut you out of your mommy's tummy. What was that like, Daddy? You don't wanna know. So as Matilda's parents leave the hospital, they reminisce about the beauty of childbirth before they carefully throw Matilda in the back of a wagon where she meets her lovely older brother. But Daddy, that doesn't seem safe. What if she falls out? Ah, son, this was back in the 90s, my boy. The laws of physics didn't exist back then, so there were no laws at all. So they finally get home from the hospital and go inside the house, leaving Matilda to spend time alone in the car. Daddy, did they forget Matilda alone in the car? These things happen, my boy. I once accidentally forgot you in an aeroplane. So Matilda turns 4 and she's learned to take care of herself because during the day her brother goes to school, her dad goes to sell cars, and her mom goes to bingo. Daddy, what's bingo? And does this mean Matilda gets left alone all day? Bingo is basically old people gambling, and yes, she gets left alone all day long. I wish you and mom could do that. I have so many plans. Never! Anyway, Matilda's like 4 and she can do awesome stuff like make herself breakfast while dancing to All the Way, boop 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 boop, all the way, boop 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 boop, all the way. So later that evening, Matilda asks her dad for a book and he's like, ugh, reading, watch TV. So the next day, Matilda decides to go to the library by herself. How did she find the library, Daddy? This was the 90s. She found it in the yellow pages. Duh. Daddy, what's the yellow pages? Duh. Holy Lord. It's this book that has your name, number, address in alphabetical order. This book would get sent to millions of people. So Daddy, you're telling me that in the 90s there was a book with your name and phone number and address in alphabetical order for millions of people to see? Yes. So if you owed a drug dealer money and he wanted to find you, he could find you in the yellow pages? Yes. Wow! The 90s were crazy. So Matilda starts going to the library by herself, and eventually the librarian is like, Matilda, honey, get yourself a library card and stop coming here every day. The predators are gonna get you and you're gonna get me fired. So she gets one and starts reading that outside of her school. Why isn't she in school, Daddy? You're about to find out, my boy. So one evening, Matilda's dad catches her reading and he's like, ugh, books. Disgusting. And Matilda says, I want to go to school, Daddy. And he's like, but you're 4. And she tells him she's 6, but he refuses to believe her. So he drags her to her mom, and her mom is like, you're 5, darling. Also, Matilda's dad tells her that she can't go to school because he needs her to bring the packages inside the house. I like Matilda's parents. I hate school. Shame. The next day, Matilda's dad decides to teach her brother Michael how to flip cars by buying them for like $1,000 and selling them for like $7,000. Daddy, that's like a 700% increase. Genius. So after that, her dad shouts at her for being a genius. She starts playing pranks on her dad. Pranks like what, Daddy? Well, nah, I'm not telling you. I know you. You're dedicated to a life of mischief, boy. Come on, Daddy. I'd never. Fine. So Daddy Wormwood takes the kids to the shop where he shows them his expert craftsmanship, like using super glue for bumpers, using cheap child labor to put those bumpers onto the cars, and sawdust to make noisy engines quiet, as well as other stuffs. But Daddy, that's wrong. Yeah, exactly. Matilda tells him, Daddy, you're a criminal, I tell ya. And her daddy's like, I'm big, you're smart, you're little, I'm dumb. And her mom shows up and she's like, Zwollen, I won the jackpot. Papa, I'm a millionaire. And they go out to eat. While this is happening, Matilda puts super glue inside her dad's hat. Super glue in dad's hat. Now at the restaurant, Matilda's mom tries to rip the hat off and they fall, and Matilda's dad bumps into the waiter and he goes flying, and all the food gets flung into the air and a pie lands perfectly on Matilda's plate, and it goes splash all over Matilda's brother's face. So that evening, Matilda's dad catches her reading a book again and he's like, ugh, books, disgusting, book make me angry, grrr, watch TV, ha ha ha. And Matilda gets mad and then boom, TV blows up. Wow! What made the TV blow up, Daddy? The power of magic. So the next day, Matilda's dad sells a car to a lady who runs an elementary school, and he arranges for Matilda to start going there. So now Matilda's excited. She's finally going to big school. The following morning, her dad drops her off at dusty elementary where all the kids play in the dust. But what about all the kids with asthma, Daddy? Psh! This was the 90s, my boy. We had tough lungs because grown-ups could smoke anyway. We had lungs of steel. You think a little dust is gonna stop us? Anyway, while the kids play in the dust, out comes a dark force that will strike fear into your heart. Miss Trunchbull, the deranged, crazy school principal who absolutely hates children. But Daddy, why is she a principal if she hates children? Same reason people become politicians, my boy. Anyway, Miss Trunchbull comes out and the children stand at attention like soldiers. She walks through them, dishing out detention and insults left, right, and most importantly, center. She sounds mean, Daddy. So Matilda goes and hides inside a wall where she meets her new friend, Lavender. But a bigger girl tells him to get out because Miss Trunchbull is gonna find her. Oh no! So the bigger girl tells him the story of how a boy was eating 2 M&Ms in class and Miss Trunchbull caught him. And you know what she did? What did she do, Daddy? She grabbed him, lifted him up, and threw him out of a window. Daddy, I don't think Miss Trunchbull is a nice lady. And she's got this tiny room called the chokey. Daddy, will those kids grow up traumatized? Severely. Anyway, Miss Trunchbull finally sets her sights on Pigtail Girl. Miss Trunchbull goes up to her and tells her that she hates her pigtails and grabs Pigtail Girls by the pigtails and swings her around and around and around and throws her into the sky over the gate, and she falls and falls and she almost hits the gate, but she just misses the gate and glides effortlessly onto the floor into the flower. But Daddy, what about gravity? Told you, my boy, this was the 90s. There were no laws back then, not even the law of gravity. Wow! So now we meet Miss Honey, Matilda's absolutely lovely teacher who has very unsettling relationships with little girls now that I think about it. So while Miss Honey is taking the kids through basic multiplication, she discovers Matilda's a genius and Miss Honey just stares at Matilda like,
Matilda, you know how to multiply.
Your mathematics at the library.
You like to read?
Oh, yes. I love to read.
What do you like to read?
Dolls, Chickens. Charles Dickens.
I'll be back in a moment.
Wow.
Anyway, so after staring at Matilda, Miss Honey runs out of class to cool off, and afterwards she goes to Miss Trunchbull's office to tell her that Matilda's a bright girl and she must go to another class. But Miss Trunchbull says,
I knew it. You can't handle the little viper, so you're trying to foist her off on one of the other teachers.
Later that evening, Miss Honey shows up at Matilda's house and her dad is like, ugh, education, disgusting. Miss Honey tells Matilda's parents that Tilda needs private instruction to get into college. But Matilda's mom says, you chose books, I chose looks. And boy do I agree, because she's one smoking hot mama. Is she hotter than mommy? Boy, don't you know? No one's hotter than your mommy. Anyway, the next morning, Miss Trunchbull calls the entire school to the hall where she calls up Bruce Bogtrotter. Why, Daddy? Because Miss Trunchbull's about to make him eat a huge slice of cake in front of the whole school. I like Miss Trunchbull. So Bruce finishes the slice of cake, and guess what Miss Trunchbull does next? She dumps a huge cake in front of him and forces him to finish it all. The cake was enormous. It could feed a whole city. Blech. That would make me sick, Daddy. So did Bruce eat all of it? He tried, but then all the other kids start cheering him on. They start cheering him and cheering him. You can do it, Bruce! And that was all the motivation he needed, because Bruce ate the entire cake all by himself. Everybody in the school was so excited. Yay! Then Miss Trunchbull smashes the glass tray over his head and gives everyone 5 hours of detention after school. Later that evening, Matilda arrives home and her dad screams at her because she wasn't home to bring the packages inside the house. She was in detention. Exactly. So the next day, Matilda and her friends find a newt, and while they're playing and chilling at school, Miss Trunchbull arrives and she's mad because Matilda's dad sold her a terrible piece of rubbish car, so she throws Matilda into the chokey. That's unfair, Daddy. So while Miss Honey undoes Pigtail Girl's pigtails, the entire class is in a panic trying to hide anything colorful because Miss Trunchbull is coming. Lavender pours the newt into a jug and in walks the devil herself. Miss Honey abandons her class to go save her beloved Matilda, and when they return, Suge Knight is shaking down a kid for some money. But Daddy, she has a house and a car. Yes! Anyway, Suge asks Pigtail Girl to spell difficulty, and Pigtail Girl sings Mrs. D, Mrs. I, Mrs. F, F, Y, Mrs. He, Mrs. Who, Mrs. Ha, ha, ha. And Miss Trunchbull shouts,
Why are all these women married?
Then Miss Trunchbull takes a sip of water, but then she looks, and what does she see? Skater Boy Rock and a BAM TV. That joke is old now. Whatever. So while Miss Trunchbull is yelling at Matilda, Matilda uses her Menjink powers to flip the cup over, and the newt lands on her, and Miss Trunchbull is like... The whole class is laughing and laughing. Miss Trunchbull leaves and Matilda tells Miss Honey, it was me. I used my great Menjink. And Miss Honey's like, lies, Matilda. Show me. And Matilda's like, I got cuckoo. Yes, but in her head. So Miss Honey asked Matilda, Matilda, would you like to come over to my house? But Daddy, that's not allowed. And don't you forget it, boy. So they walk to her house, but first they pass by Miss Trunchbull's house. And Miss Honey tells her the story of a little girl who used to live in that house, but her mommy died. So the mommy's stepsister came to live with them, but then her daddy also died, so now she was left with the mother's evil stepsister. Who is that? Miss Trunchbull. Oh no! So they keep walking until they get to Miss Honey's cottage, and that's when Matilda not only realizes that the little girl in the story was Miss Honey, but also Miss Trunchbull is Matilda's mummy. Auntie. So Miss Honey cries while she's telling a story. And Daddy, was Miss Trunchbull mean to Miss Honey as a kid? I don't know, we always see her smiling with Miss Honey as a kid. Does she smile with the other kids? No, she's always mean and horrible to them. Daddy, what if Miss Trunchbull was always smiling with Miss Honey because she was doing something else to Miss Honey? Something that she didn't do to the other children? Maybe. My boy, that was dark. Anyway, after a spot of tea, they head back and see Miss Trunchbull leaving her house, and they hide from her. But Miss Trunchbull is violently attacked by a wild beast. What animal was it, Daddy? This, my boy, was the real deal. Dagger-clawed, child-eating, man-loving, meat-loving kitten. So after Miss Trunchbull leaves, Matilda sneaks into her house to get Miss Honey's Matilda doll back. But Miss Trunchbull's car breaks down, so she lifts her car in the air and carries it home. Daddy, that's impossible. Cars are heavy. She does! I promise you! Miss Trunchbull gave her car a lift on the way home. But Daddy, Matilda and Miss Honey are still inside the house. What if she finds them there? They have to hide because she's in a terrible mood, screaming at Matilda's dad over the phone when she notices that her chocolate box is still open. Ew, Daddy, that sounds nasty. She goes over to it and she's like, sniff, sniff. Humans. And like a bloodhound, she goes running around the house looking for the intruders. She almost catches Matilda, but she manages to hide under a table. So Miss Trunchbull takes a break from hunting for intruders to eat a slice of cake. Yummy, but why, Daddy? So Miss Honey shuts the door and Miss Trunchbull is like, sniff, sniff. Humans. Chases them down to the basement, but it's too late. They have escaped. She probably shouldn't have stopped for a chocolate cake break. Exactly. After getting away, Matilda says that they should wait until Miss Trunchbull leaves so they can go back. Daddy, Matilda is crazy. Thanks for stating the obvious, my boy. Now Matilda gets home and her mom is entertaining Sheldon and Leonard, but Matilda tells her that they're cops, and her mom is like, no, they're not. They're speedboat salesmen. Then her dad comes home and he's spitting mad because his wife is entertaining these men. He screams at her, and this is where Matilda realizes that every time someone screams at her, she's able to use her powers, and she slams the door into her daddy's face. Daddy, one day I'm gonna slam the door in your face. This is not America, boy. Over here, we. So Matilda's having an awesome day getting used to her powers. She's dancing while everything is flying around her. It's a magical scene. So Daddy, are you saying that Matilda can control hundreds of things all at once? What kind of magic is this? Then Matilda looks outside and sees Sheldon and Leonard, the speedboat salesman cops, sneaking around the house. So she goes outside to confront them. Ooh, they're in big trouble. So what does Matilda do to them? Sheldon spots a box he wants to investigate, but every time he climbs the ladder, Matilda moves the box to the other side. So he goes down, moves the ladder, climbs up again, and when he looks, Matilda has already shifted the box to the other side, and then he goes down, and then he moves to the other side, and he climbs up, and he looks, and the box is gone, and Matilda does it over and over again. It's so hilarious. Then Matilda tells them, you're not allowed here. I read it in a book once. And then she uses her magic to release the car's handbrake, and the car goes rolling down the road. And Sheldon and Leonard run off to the car, but she uses her magic for one more thing. She steals their VHS tape. Daddy, what's a VHS tape? And also, if she did that, doesn't that mean Matilda tampered with police evidence, an act in which an individual alters, conceals, falsifies, or destroys evidence with the intent to interfere with an investigation by law enforcement, governmental, or regulatory authority? A criminal offense punishable by 2 to 15 years in jail? My boy is a genius. I guess Matilda didn't read that. So later that night, Matilda prepares to leave and go to Miss Trunchbull's house to steal Miss Honey's doll back. Doesn't anyone try to stop her? Her brother tries his absolute best by flinging a carrot at her, but she uses her power to stop the carrot and shot it back at him. Sisters are mean. Yep, I fully agree. Your auntie was a meanie. But Daddy, auntie says you were an irritating big brother. Silence! Now Matilda arrives at the house where we see Miss Trunchbull eating a chocolate with the wrapper on, because that's how normal people eat chocolate. But Daddy, you said if you ate with the wrapper on, I wouldn't have been made. Yeah, boy. So Matilda climbs on the roof of Miss Trunchbull's house and begins her devious master plan to steal Miss Honey's Matilda doll back. But the wind blows the Matilda doll into a tree. Oh no! But through the power of deep concentration, Matilda finally gets the doll back. But this isn't the end for Matilda. Oh, no. What does she do next, Daddy? Revenge. First, she steals 2 chocolates. Although, I don't know why I shouldn't just take all of it. It's chocolate, for goodness sake. If you're gonna steal, be like a politician and steal everything. Second, she makes the clock move and fast forward. Third, she moves the chair and Miss Trunchbull falls flat on her bum. Fourth, she interferes with electrical infrastructure by making the wires go whoop, 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 whoop. Fifth, she blew the windows open. Sixth, she uses her manging to take down Miss Trunchbull's painting and throws it into the fire. Seventh, she sends the shot put balls tumbling down the stairs. Eighth, she moves Magnus's painting to the top of the wall and Miss Trunchbull was like, nope. But just as Miss Trunchbull was about to get the hell out of Dodge, she comes across a red ribbon. Sniff, sniff, human. But Matilda was wearing her red ribbon. Miss Trunchbull is gonna remember. The next day, Matilda arrives at school and Miss Honey's waiting for her. Daddy, why is she only waiting for Matilda? Doesn't she teach other children? I wish I had an answer for you, my boy. I know it looks wrong, but trust me, I watched Matilda when I was a kid. Miss Honey can do no wrong. She is perfect. So Matilda tells her that she went to Miss Trunchbull's house and she stole the doll and the chocolate, and Miss Honey's like, then bang! Miss Trunchbull shows up. Oh no, she's gonna kill everyone! On the contrary, my boy, she saunters over in a good mood and tells Miss Honey,
I will be teaching your class today.
So later on in class, Miss Honey says, Matilda, you promised me you wouldn't go back to Agatha's house. And Matilda's like, I didn't, I used my magic. And Matilda makes a jug float and Miss Honey's like, Patung, Matilda! And Matilda says, watch this. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. But then Miss Trunchbull walks in and she screams, get against the wall, you cod-waggling snazzle-wagglers! She's so scary, Daddy. She checks the water, no Newton. Get it? Get it? No Newton? So now she's walking around, pushing tables and chairs against the wall like a Spartan. And she asks, whose ribbon is this? And the kids are like, we ain't no snitches. Snitches get stitches. Snitches sleep with the fishes. Miss Trunchbull gets really mad and she yells at the entire class and Miss Honey's like, leave Matilda alone. And Miss Trunchbull grabs her arm and Miss Honey says,
I am not 7 years old anymore, Aunt Trunchbull.
Then Miss Trunchbull grabs Matilda, so Matilda uses her manging to write a message from Magnus on the chalkboard. And then the dusters attack and beat up Miss Trunchbull and everyone is laughing at her and then she falls down dead. Then the kids lean over to check for signs of life. Surprise, bitches! I'm still alive! All hail the Queen of England! And she grabs Timothy Bogtrotter and throws him out of the window. Oh no! You don't listen to me, boy. I told you, this was the 90s. We had no laws of physics, so Bogtrotter flies around and around and around back inside, pushing Miss Trunchbull over and Godzilla crushes Japan. She spins around and around and around and straight into a concussion. Then she gets up and tries to tackle the Zelda, but Matilda hoists her up and Miss Trunchbull crashes through the door into the hallway. Defeated, she lays on the floor, but the kids show her no mercy as they throw food in her face. She runs away from them, but just as she thinks she got away, the whole school is ready to attack. They throw everything at her. We're talking banana. Bruce Bogtrotter is like, eat shit, bitch. The kids of Dusty Elementary chase Miss Trunchbull and they celebrate in the dust, for Miss Trunchbull is gone, never to be seen again. Yay! So what happens next, Daddy? Oh, such a happy ending. Miss Honey moves back into her father's house where she's chilling with Matilda. Daddy, would you let me go to my teacher's house alone? Never! How come Matilda goes to her teacher's house alone? Girls, my boy, Miss Honey and Matilda's relationship is not okay. So while they're drinking tea, Matilda's parents come to get her because they're moving to Guam. But then Matilda's like, I don't want to go to Guantanamo Bay, Mommy. I want to stay here. Miss Honey, adopt me. Matilda's mom says, no one wants you, you filthy animal. And Miss Honey's like,
Because she's a spectacularly wonderful child and I love her.
Daddy, I know Matilda's parents are horrible, but Miss Honey makes me uncomfortable. I don't blame you, my boy. Miss Honey's giving off weird vibes. Anyway, luckily Matilda keeps a set of adoption papers with her at all times, just in case a moment like this comes up. Daddy, that's crazy. Her parents would never agree to this. So they sign the forms and they're like, enjoy your life with your creepy new teacher, Wormwoods, out! Wow! And Matilda and Miss Honey spend the rest of their lives frolicking in the fields, and skipping, and swinging, and knitting, and hula hooping, and rollerblading, and eating chocolate, and bedtime stories, and that's about it. So boy, what lesson do you learn from this movie about your daddy? And what? And what the? This child. Yay! Boy, how dare you? The deception, the betrayal, you deceived me! Now I take you down. William will finally beat his daddy. Will Death Strength show him who's boss? Find out the next time after you subscribe.